excited to introduce one of our GW members. As some of you know, some of the workshop facilitators have been from the companies, but we're trying as much as possible to actually give our members the platform because they are also experts and they are also the people who are using and building with these tools every day. So, Sam, welcome to the GW Summer School, and it's over to you.
Amazing. Cool. Thanks for the intro. But also, before we jump in and start talking about Lovable, since this is the end of the week, I came to a couple of the summer school sessions this week. I know it takes a lot of effort to organize something like this. I'm wondering, and they didn't ask me to say this, but I'm wondering if we could just give a round of applause for Edja and Millie. It's just really cool that you're giving people a platform like this to share and learn, collaborate. So just thanks for putting this together. We're gonna have some fun today. I know it's summer school, but school can be fun. Um, you asked about weekend plans tomorrow. I live in Southern California in San Diego, and tomorrow my partner and I are driving up to Los Angeles to go to a improvisational theater performance. If anyone's ever been to an improv show before, this is relevant because today in today's session we're gonna do some improv. I have no idea where we're gonna land or what we're gonna build in today's session because all of you are gonna co-create the prompt for the thing that we're gonna build in Lovable today. Very excited about this. One of my favorite improv shows, if anyone has seen what is it called? Make Some Noise on Dropout TV. Do we have any Make Some Noise fans? You may have seen on TikTok or Instagram. Yeah, the host, Sam Rice, he tells the players as they go into the final round of the game, he's like, players, it's time to hold hands and leap into the unknown together. So that's what we're about to do. We're going to leap into the unknown. In a moment, I'm going to share a link with you. I'm going to give you a place where you can contribute your ideas as we work together. I've got 5 prompts for us to work through, 5 prompts for you. And we're going to use that to co-create one prompt that we're going to put into Lovable, and we're going to have Lovable build something for us. Um, the other thing I want to demonstrate here is the courage to share something that you've built. So I built this tool that we're going to use today, this group project, and sharing something that you built, you never know if it's going to work or not, especially with this many people collaborating in it. So one of two things will happen. It'll either go super smooth and I'm going to like cheer and say, yes, it worked. Or maybe it'll break down. And if it breaks down, we've got a backup plan. Either way, we're going to have some fun and we're going to learn together. So let me share this link with you in the chat. Yeah, we'll cheer either way. Whew. Um, so go ahead and open this link and you should see, I'll put it on the screen as well. You should see something like this. It asks you for your name. Um, and since I can't see your screens, just either, maybe just tell me in the chat, like if I'm in or I'm stuck. Okay, all right, good. Whew, some folks are in. Okay. So here's how this will work. I'm going to give you one prompt at a time. Just going to kind of give you something to think about and give you a question to answer. You'll type your response into the box, and then we'll get to see everybody else's responses. And then I'll give you the next step after that. So here's where we're starting. We're starting with a possibility. What is the wish? We're not even thinking about Lovable or building or apps or anything right now. I just want you to think about in your daily life. Can you think of a moment where you thought to yourself, I wish that I could fill in the blank? Wouldn't it be cool if, finish that sentence, something that maybe sparks curiosity or that makes your life easier, something that maybe helps you see something differently or work better together with somebody else, something that maybe brings a little joy into your day. Try and think of what is a wish. I'll give you one example, and you can start typing, by the way, and submit your answers whenever you're ready here in this text box. So one example, something that I think about is Every night, my partner and I watch a TV show with dinner, and every night we go in circles like, what should we watch tonight? Should we go back to the thing we've seen before? What new episodes are coming out tonight? Do we want to go back and watch a rerun or a new show, or how many shows are we in the middle of? What should we pick? And I wish it was easier to make a decision. That's my wish. Okay, I'm gonna skip this actually, and I'm gonna see what everybody else is asking or answering. Oh, the button's not working. So I'm gonna submit something. I'm gonna mute myself too while I type because my keyboard's loud. All right, so I see some answers coming in. Very cool. All right. Now I see some of you are already upvoting on other people's ideas. That's awesome. Let's do that. There's a lot in here to read through. Let's take a moment to kind of read, scan, click on some that you really like. Don't be afraid to scroll all the way to the bottom to make sure we don't miss the ones that haven't gotten any votes yet. Wow, there's a lot of ideas. Oh, this is cool. You're starting to see what other people are looking for, and you've got ideas about things that already exist. I'm trying to give you a few moments of silence just so you can read and vote. All right, let's see. What's at the top of the list here? Rachel's idea, I wish that I could figure out a way to facilitate intergenerational friendship, particularly among women. Cool. Okay. Liz's idea, I wish I could tailor my resume perfectly for a job application in 30 minutes instead of 2 hours. Maggie's idea, I wish there was a way to map and explore the third places of every new city I move to, cafes, wine bars, music venues, community spaces with actual soul, built for someone rebuilding her life from scratch every 2 to 3 years. Wow. Anand's idea, I wish I could learn languages faster and become fluent. Lena's idea, I wish I could just finish all the projects I decide I want to do. Me too. Me too. Uh, I wish I could have an app to trawl all job postings daily and flag the ones that really fit me, not the crappy matches that LinkedIn gives me. That's yes, I'd pay for that. Cool. A lot of amazing ideas in here. And it's time to choose one. Oh, this is really hard. I'm looking to see if there's any that we could maybe merge, but they're also unique. So I think what we're going to do here is go with the top voted idea. Rachel's idea. I wish I could figure out a way to facilitate intergenerational friendship, particularly among women. So I'm going to choose that one. I have the power of choosing, making a decision here based on all of your input. So I'm going to mark that one as chosen, and that's going to move us on to the next prompt. Are you ready? Here we go. Congrats, Rachel. So now we've made a decision about the possibility that we want to focus on. Now we're going to explore who is intrigued by this possibility. Now, for all the men who are here, you get to be part of this. Just because we're focusing on intergenerational relationships among women doesn't mean that we can't be part of the conversation. So imagine that you're telling someone about this cool idea that we just decided to focus on, and their eyes light up. What what are they like? Who do we share it with? Who would you say, "Oh, I need to go tell you about this group project that we were just working on." Who is that? So I want you to take a moment to describe that person. What's your relationship to them? What are they like? How do they think? Paint me a picture. I'm going to do this as well. This is really making me think, which is good. Okay, so once again, after you've typed a sentence or two and submitted, take a few moments to read through the other ideas as they come in, and you're welcome to start to upvote the ones that you really like. Oh, so many ideas. Wow. I gotta say, I'm so grateful that that everyone's contributing. My worst fear was that I was gonna come here, ask a question, and like two people would engage and everyone would be sitting back. Why would I think that would happen? Look at this. This is amazing. So many great ideas. So let's see. How are the votes shaping up? Yeah, it's impossible that people aren't gonna engage. Okay. All right. So let's see. Rachel says people feeling isolated, work colleagues, anyone who really wants a rounded friendship base. Another Rachel says, I'm thinking about my grandmother and my aunt, both of whom are looking for younger or older friends. My grandma, because all of hers have passed, and my aunt, because she has schedule flexibility that friends her age or those younger don't have. You're also thinking about yourself and how much you've benefited from the close relationships in your family with people who share interests. There's more to benefit from out in the world. Sophia writes people who value intergenerational relationships or friendships already and want to bridge those connections more in their life. They've had an impactful relationship with maybe a grandparent, a neighbor, want to connect with other generations in a meaningful way. And Pfizer writes all women all over the world, they're busy or overwhelmed and would love a community in a world where communities are diminished or behind paywalls. They want to be able to meet women like them, different to them, get advice, share advice. Cool. All right. Again, thank you for all the thoughtful responses to that one. Here's what I'm gonna try a different method here. I'm gonna choose the top three most voted answers, and we're gonna see if we can merge them into one kind of shared response. Let's see how well our agent can do this. Drum roll. Okay, so let's read it together, and we can edit this if we want to. We're reaching out to individuals across all life stages who feel a sense of isolation or a gap in their social circles and are intentionally seeking a more well rounded friendship base. Okay. Our audience includes both younger people who recognize the profound value of intergenerational wisdom and older individuals who desire to stay active and connected as their traditional peer groups shift. It's a more polite way of saying they passed. Uh, these are people who believe that shared interests can bridge any age gap. Love that. And are looking for meaningful, flexible ways to bring the warmth of a multi generational family structure into their broader social lives. What do we think? We like it? Okay, we're going to use that as our decision. And that's going to bring us to our third prompt. We're just moving right along. Okay, I'm going to try and speed us up a little bit for these last three prompts. I think those first two were kind of the most difficult. But here we go. This one, now we're going to think about the magic moment. So if we build something in Lovable, what's the moment where someone is using it and they think, oh, this is great. This is just what I needed. So if you think about something that you use in your life, how it helps you save time or feel a sense of relief or clarity, or maybe enjoy something that you typically put off, how could this app, in the context that we've just defined, what is that like magic moment? If you imagine someone using it, how how would the app bring a smile to their face? So take a moment to try and describe what makes this app that we're going to build magical. All right, the responses are coming in. What's cool about this is as we're reading through everyone's responses, you start to spot patterns. I almost wish I had a feature that reads all of it and then tries to summarize everything, but then it might get kind of like muddled. A lot of themes around connection. And I keep seeing things like actually connected, like really connected, meaningful relationships. So there's something there around like a significant, like a meaningful connection beyond maybe we're all experiencing like surface level connections day in and day out. All right, how are the votes looking? Maggie at the top here. The magic moment is a second invitation that a user did not initiate, not the match. Not the first meetup. Anyone can engineer one good dinner. Oh, oh, nice. The moment is 2 weeks later when user A texts user B, I'm making soup on Sunday, come over, without the platform prompting it. That's when it stops being an app and becomes part of their life. Maggie, magical. So we're going to choose that one as our option and move on to the fourth prompt. Nice job. All right. So we've done the possibility, the audience, the magic moment. Now let's think about the journey. How did they get there? I love, Maggie, how you took us from the beginning to beyond that, 2 weeks later when they have a second interaction. But what are the simplest, what's like the how would you describe the steps to get there? So imagine someone opens the app for the very first time. What do they see? What do they do first? What are the simplest steps to get them to that magic moment? So just a quick like 1, 2, 3, or step one, step two, something like that. Try and give us like lay out the journey a little bit. This is wild. We're engineering another social media app. This is crazy. All right. Again, as you sort of scan the list, you can kind of see the patterns in how we're thinking. Looks like there's some of the trend around like sharing interests or hobbies to match with people with shared interests. So again, as you scroll through, you can upvote. You can do as many upvotes as you can, by the way. There's no limit. You can share the love. It's also interesting to see like what are some ways in which we think differently about what the vision of the product might look like. All right, what's at the top here? We've got again Maggie. Number one, match a table, not a pair. Oh, cool. So you're making like a small group. Mixed ages, same neighborhood. The platform set like creates the gathering itself, time, place, and a good conversation starter, icebreaker. Cool. No chat purgatory, no planning burden. Wow. Number two, hand the second invite to a designated user. So you're shifting it from the app to you're in charge. And then engineer the first meeting, seed the second, and then disappear. Cool. Millie, quick onboarding with the human, safety verification, like it. Number two, you get matched for a meet within 7 days, can be around shared interests, but also could be fun to meet people who have different interests. And then number three, follow up with the human, offered further curation and matching. Very cool. Let's try this. We're gonna merge Maggie's and Millie's. Let's see what it comes up with. We quickly verify and onboard our members to ensure a safe, curated experience that bypasses the friction of planning and small talk. By matching a small group of women from the same neighborhood for a scheduled gathering within their first week, we move them directly from the app to a real world table. Once the first meeting is engineered, we empower a natural host within the group to lead the next invite, allowing the platform to fade into the background as genuine community takes over. Maggie or Millie, is there anything you would tweak in this AI merged answer of your responses?
Maggie is the mastermind. Maggie, is there anything that you would change, tweak? We're all just living in Maggie's world. Where is Maggie?
Maggie says, "Oh, can't unmute yourself," but it looks
Oh,
incredible. Okay, we're gonna go with it for now. So we'll use that as our decision. Let me just tell you this before we do our last prompt. When it finishes, you should be able to copy paste all of this, all the decisions we just made, and if you want to build on your in your own lovable instance, you could change anything you want to change. So I'm going to build it, and we're going to watch it real time as it builds and just see what it comes up with. But you'll have the prompt that we just co-created as well. So here, last question. How should it feel? So now we're thinking about the vibe. If you think about the emotions that someone would experience while using this app, what are those feelings? What do you think the personality of the app should be? So if you were to use some descriptors in your response, or maybe even think of like if there's certain like inspirational elements, maybe you want nature, maybe you want music, maybe you want food. I don't know. Like how would you, what inspiration would you pump into this app? So take a moment to, this is our final prompt. How would you create the vibe? And the last thing I'll say is this is your opportunity to really give it personality so it doesn't just look like any old AI product. It's ours. All right, the answers are coming in. Again, I love seeing the spread and then like trying to spot patterns. Even though AI can do it way better, it's still fun, or way I can do it faster. It's still fun to do it as a human and see like, okay, what is everybody thinking? Where do we all agree? So I'm seeing a lot of like warm and cozy, colorful, fun, hopeful. I think I see collaborative, community, elderly friendly. Yeah, a lot of patterns here. So again, maybe the upvoting is less important here because there's a lot of similarities, but go ahead and like do some upvotes and then we'll make a choice about our vibe. So Bailey's currently at the top. It says it needs to be simple and engaging enough to encourage users from 18 to 80. That was great. You're showing the spread right there with that number. Clean interface, minimal clutter, and warm colors. AJ says a strong focus on accessibility, color contrast, actually cater to multiple generations and people with disabilities. Brilliant. Sophia, easy to navigate, know the elderly audience. Maggie's getting the votes again. Maggie, a standing dinner invitation, cozy, elegant, warm, unhurried, the personality of a gracious host. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take Bailey, we're going to take AJ, we're going to take Maggie, and we're going to merge those and let's see what we come up with. We want our experience to feel like a gracious host, warm, unhurried, deeply inclusive across every generation, blending cozy, elegant aesthetic, high contrast accessibility, a clean and timeless environment that feels high end and approachable. Our goal is clutter free, heirloom quality that uses a rich, analog inspired visuals to ensure every user feels seen, remembered, and welcomed. Wow, this is amazing. Okay, so I think you should also see on your screen this button, Generate Lovable Prompt. All it's doing is taking all of your responses and putting them into a prompt that we can copy and paste into Lovable and have it start building. So I'm going to do that now, and I see something in here that we need to fix before we hit send in Lovable. And let me share Lovable instead of Go Vibe Code. Um, I didn't think about giving it a name, but we don't want to call it Generalist World Summer School Group Project. Why don't we just let it come up with its own name? I'm just going to take that out. We've just made a lot of decisions. So this is everything that we just came up with. We've got the problem defined. We've defined the audience. We've defined the magic moment, the journey that they go through, and the vibe. Now, I'm going to go ahead and submit it so it can start working. It'll take a few minutes as it's building. Uh, this is the improv side of summer school today. We had Kindred Spirits. That's the name it came up with. So we have no idea. I'm curious. We all probably have some version of a vision of what this looks like in our heads. And what we'll find out in a few minutes is how closely does Lovable, what it creates, align with what our own vision was. And so then we can spend some time looking and saying, this is where it is exactly what I was thinking, or these are some ways in which it kind of missed the mark, and we need to nudge it a little bit in a different direction. Um, I'm going to watch this as it's building. If you've never started a new project in Lovable before, sometimes it will ask you a couple of questions. Sometimes it has to add some plugins or set up cloud, do some things. So you've got to give it some permissions as it's going. But generally, I think it should be able to create a first version of this in just a couple of minutes. So while it's working, we'll keep an eye on that. I'll also share just some thoughts about building in Lovable. Maybe we could take some questions. If there's some good questions coming in, Millie or Edge, feel free to just interrupt me and say, here's a good question for you. But the whole concept, the thing I wanted to focus on today is when you are building in Lovable, let me just tell you my story in like 30 seconds. I started building like 6 months ago, and I had this idea. I had like the possibility of something I wanted to bring to life, and created my first app, and I was immediately like mind blown. I was so excited because I've never had the ability before to just say in plain English, I want to build something and then watch it come to life. I'm not a developer, I'm not a designer. those are real skills and they're important skills and they're skills that I don't have. So Lovable gave empowered me to be able to bring an idea to life. And my first thought when I experienced that was, oh my gosh, I'm going to build something. Everybody's going to want it. I'm going to sell it to the world. I'm going to get rich. And then I'm scrolling on Instagram and you have these influencers who are saying, I built an app and it's got 40,000 users in 48 hours. And I just thought, oh my gosh, well, let's go do that. That seems easy. Um, Not what happened. So I quickly realized that happens to people. Maybe it's happened to someone who's here. But there's a lot that has to happen for an idea to go from idea to a successful monetizable product. It's not as simple as maybe an Instagram influencer makes it seem. So as that kind of like shed that naive thought, I started to shift and engage with Lovable in different ways. I started to spot opportunities to solve little problems that were just for me or maybe some of my coworkers, and we could just focus on solving that one particular thing, not building an app that I'm going to be using for years and years on end. In our prompt today, there was a little bit of hyperbole in there about creating magic. I don't need for a lot of the little things I'm doing. I'm not trying to create the next Instagram or the next Airbnb. It's like I just need something to help me analyze this complex data. So that was kind of the shift that I've experienced and the way that I approach creating new projects and Lovable now. Um, Millie, I could ramble for about 2 hours, but let me just pause and see, are there any juicy questions that are coming in the chat? I could pause and try and respond to
Yeah,
some of those.
I've got a couple for you. So the first one is I keep wondering how robust these apps are. They seem great for prototyping, but how well do they translate to production?
That is a great question, and I think that depends on how you define production. Um, uh, there are some. If you're trying to go sell something, that is like a whole, oh, it's coming alive. We'll look at it in a moment. If you're trying to go sell something, that comes with a lot of like probably robust requirements, to bring something to make it production ready. But if you're just trying to use something in your daily life for yourself, I've found that what I can build in Lovable is phenomenal. Like helps me solve real problems. I don't have to spend a ton of time actually building the thing. I would say the ROI on that time is like through the roof. I'll give you an example. One of the ideas that you had in our first question about the possibility was I want a job. I want something to scrape the internet, find jobs for me that are a good fit. I can do it better than LinkedIn. I had the same idea. And I wanted to share this with a community that I'm part of. There was a lot of jobs and job boards, company pages, LinkedIn, so many different places. And I wanted to bring those into one place and do a little bit of an evaluation, gather some data on like salary and location. And I was doing that before manually, like going to page after page and scrolling and scanning and typing it into a spreadsheet. And I was like, what am I doing this for? This is way too time consuming. I could build something really cool and lovable that'll do this for me. I'm the only user of that right now, but I'm sharing it with colleagues and I'm taking information from that product that I built and share. It's making it a lot easier to share it with other people. So that in and of itself, I'm never gonna sell that. It's not a big, I haven't even purchased a domain for it. I'm not thinking it's not like security isn't a big concern with that because it's just me grabbing information from it. So I think how you think about what something like what it means for it to be like production ready um, is how you figure out if like Lovable will get you there or if you need to work with a different tool or with someone with a different skill set to get your idea to a different place. I hope that answers the question. Um, So I'm pretty impressed. It did the build. It didn't even ask us for any clarifying questions or any permissions. Let me, I'm actually not sure if I share the preview link with you, if you, some other Lovable users might know. Can I share the preview link or do I have to publish it first? I'll share the preview link and we'll see if you can open that or if it has to be the signed in user. Just give me like a quick note in the chat if you open preview. Will it? You got to be signed in. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna publish. So without even, I'm not even gonna click through it or look through it because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna publish this and then I'm gonna share it with you, and then we can all click through it together and see how Lovable brought our ideas to life. So publish. I normally wouldn't start with publishing. I'd probably normally do some other stuff, but this is what we're gonna do. When you publish, it does create, it gives you its own, it's lovable.app is the domain. So it gives you a URL that you can share publicly. If you wanted to have a custom domain, see that here, it's actually pretty smooth inside of Lovable. It can, takes you, it's got a plugin or something where you can look at options, purchase a domain, and bring that in. Or if you purchase a domain, outside of Lovable, you've got access to it. You can put it in here as the custom domain for your project. But we're going to just use Lovable app, lovable.app. Anyone with the URL can see it. Yep. Continue. There are a couple of settings in here. You could add an icon, like a favicon, I think how you call it. You could give it a little bit of a description. This is good for SEO. Lovable, I think, does a decent job of like auto-generating something for you. Hearth matches small groups of women across generations in your neighborhood for a warm in-person gathering. So we'll use what it came up with. So we've got our URL. It'll be publicly visible. We've got our website information, and we will publish. And while it's publishing, there was also a setting there around a security scan. If you did have a site where you are, or an app where you're putting in a lot of information, storing information, the security scan can help spot if there's any issues. If you have an app that's using like an AI agent to, like you saw when we were building our prompt together, it was taking your responses and merging them into an AI agent. That does cost like tokens, fractions. It's not a lot of money, but it still costs something. And you wouldn't want something like that being open on the internet for anyone to go and spend your tokens. So the security scan can help just spot issues and fix it for you. All right, so we now have our link. I'll drop this in the chat. And now you can see what we came up with. You can open our new app. And I'll give you a moment. Actually, I'll open the published version in a new tab. And let's just click around. Let's see, how did it do? Does it, it's asking for a sign in. Can we even, oh, create an account with Google? Let me pull this out so I'm not sharing my Google passwords on Zoom. We could see if it will let you do anything without creating an account, perhaps. Okay, let's bring this back in. So I realize we can't come off mute and talk, but I'm curious, and I'll give you just another kind of minute or so of silence to click around and see if we can make it work. But uh, as you try and create an account, well, let's see.
Sam,
It's taking a long time to get in.
there was a good idea from Sophia. I wonder if we can prompt it to say, like, can we just remove the sign in for this example? Just so we can see the full. Otherwise, you could just click around perhaps so we can see what the other pages are.
Let's do it. Genius. Give me one sec. Actually, let's talk to it. Here we go. Remove the requirement to create an account and sign in to use the app. All right, let's see what it does. This is the um, this is the improv that I mentioned at the beginning. Didn't know it was going to happen, but here we are editing real time. Okay, so while it's working, I'll show you your sort of toolbox in Lovable. You've got the preview here, but if you are curious to kind of learn more about what's working underneath the hood, you can look at the code base. One of the first things I did on my first project is again, I'm not a developer, so this is all foreign to me. I took screenshots of this and I put it into my favorite chatbot and I said, teach me what all of this means. I don't know what any of it is. And every time I came across a word that I was unfamiliar with, I said, define that for me. Um, I don't have the skill set to build anything like this from scratch, but whenever I run into an issue, I'm starting to like kind of learn the language a little bit, or I'm starting to learn how to like ask more specifically, or if we run into an issue, like it's easier to kind of diagnose it. So you can see the code base that it's building. There's also analytics. If it has cloud set up, you can see like your app's database, so on and so forth in here. The security scan you can find in here if you want to ask it to run a scan. All right, let's see what it said about our last request. So it's saying the app no longer requires sign-in. Visitors go straight from the landing page into onboarding and their circle with their profile saved locally in their browser. So let me publish that change. And as soon as it says updated, you can refresh and then that change will be there. And then we can see. Are there any other juicy questions that we can tackle while it's updating?
So I've got so many things on my screen that I need to kindly unmute. Um, do you know what coding language it uses?
Ah, that's good. No.
No.
I did. I have him in my notes somewhere. Let's see. Maybe someone who I think it uses like a range of things, right? So um is someone let's see. This is a file type, TSX Tailwind, I think, if that means anything to anybody. Um
People saying TypeScript?
TypeScript. Ah, is that this? TS TypeScript? I'm sure we have some developers on the call who know.
Help, developers. So
Help.
the answer is we don't know. And you know what? We love the answer. We don't know because that means that there's room to figure it out. So if you do know, please do feel free to pop oh, there we go. Exciting. To pop it in the
Oh,
chat.
we got some answers in the chat. Amazing. Okay. I love that. Thank you. Faison? Okay, so now we should be able to kind of see some of how the app works without having to log in. Give it a refresh if you're still seeing the request to log in. Okay, so it's asking just first name, not even a last name, just first name, your birth year, neighborhood, a few lines about you. Choose a couple of options for shared interests. Just curious, tell me in the chat. I'm watching the chat now. Is there anything just from this view that you would change? What would you tweak? Ability to add niche interests. Yeah, like put like add something custom that's not on the list. Genius. Add a few more interests. Times that work best for your schedule to meet people. Yeah, we're totally missing that. How can we meet up if we don't know people's schedules? Less brown. I agree. It's not very colorful. It didn't do a good job of capturing the vibe that you all described. um, let's see. The colors are more peaceful. More drop-down menus around lifestyle. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Very cool. Instead of birth year, maybe give us a decade. Yeah, I agree. I'm getting to the age where I have to like scroll really far down the list of years to find mine, and I don't know how I feel about it. Optional or confidential, like race, gender, mobility, community capacity. I can host, I can cook, I can assist. Oh, these are all so good. I wish we had another like 4 hours so we could sit around and just build together, but we don't. We only have about 8 minutes. So, but this is cool. I hope the goal here was to show you sort of the process of like thinking through how to prepare for an initial build and then getting to experience real time how well it aligns with your vision. And then if this was your project, which you can take the prompt and you can create Lovable, how would you then sort of iterate on it? What would you add, tweak, change to get it closer to the vision that you have for yourself. Let's see. Millie, I know we wanted to share. There's two more things I want to make sure I hit before we run out of time, but then we can also take some questions.
Sure thing.
I know that we have a promo code for Lovable, which we can share in the chat. If you already have an account, I think you have to create like a new workspace to apply the promo code. But it gets you, I think, 100 free credits, which is pretty good. So that's the first thing. And the other thing is the thing that I built that we were using in the beginning to co-create our prompt. Here, I'll share that with you. Is something that I built for myself because what was happening is I was working on like a bunch of different projects and kind of jumping from one to another. Someone earlier said, I wish I had a way to finish the projects that I start. And also, as someone who's not a developer, not a designer, I feel like I have a lot to learn in those areas and like constantly juggling like for this idea that I have, do I need to make it look better? Do I need to make it work better? Do I need it to be more secure or do I need to make it more organized? Like, it's a lot to juggle. So I made this for myself to help myself organize my projects. So you can use this, it's free. You don't have to create an account to create one project. I think if you want to have more projects, it asks you to create an account. But within each project, like this one, I just created a list of things to kind of think through for myself. And that way I can just organize what I'm learning as I go. It's, the whole point of sharing something that you've built is that takes courage. And I heard in Ellie's summer school sessions, she said, share it. You should be a little bit embarrassed about sharing it because you know that it can be better. And so this is where I'm at with it. I have a lot of ideas to make it better, but it's helping me organize my stuff. And so if you would like to use it, it's govibecode.ai. It's free. You can use it to organize your projects. And if you have ideas, don't be shy about sending me a note in Generalist World on LinkedIn and saying, this is cool what you built, but I really wish that I had da, 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 and then we could collaborate on it together. So those are the things I wanted to share. Millie, it looks like we've got about 5 more minutes for questions.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm buzzing. This was so fun. You nailed it, Sam. I wonder, there are a few questions. I wonder, because it's our last summer school, instead of me just reading them, does anyone want to come off mute? Do you want to come up on the stage, take the mic, just raise your hand and you can come up. Ooh, who's gonna be the brave one? Otherwise, I will do interpretive dance for you for the next 6 minutes. Come on, people. On my yoga ball.
This is something that AI can never do, interpretive dance. Let's be real.
Sophia.
Hi, can
She's
you
like,
hear
please
me?
don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, now everyone's coming up. Okay, here we go. We had Sophia, but then we lost Sophia.
No worries. My question was about vibe code, so I'll pass it on to someone who has a more relevant question.
You sure?
Yeah, all good. I just couldn't stand the silence.
Or the dancing.
Amazing.
No, the dancing was delightful, Millie. Don't worry. I loved it.
I'm
All
sure other
right.
people have your question, Sophia. So I would love to hear what your question is actually. But I was just going to say I really appreciate this opportunity to learn something new because I feel very energized. And I thought it was really cool that you vibe coded something that we got to use in the session. Um, that was really fun. It was like a little bit meta. And I'm just feeling energized and excited. So great presentation, and I learned a lot. Thank you.
Oh, I love that.
Thanks.
Oh, Liani, come on up.
Sam, how many credits did you use to make this?
So I didn't count. I didn't look. Generally, I know when you create a brand new account and you're not on a paid plan, you get, I think, 5 daily credits for free. And I have seen the ability to build a whole thing with 5 or fewer credits. And once you start iterating and doing something like really complex or adding a lot of fun features, you'll certainly need more. But if you were looking for just a simple landing page or a starting point, you've got those 5 credits. And I think they reset every day. So if you just wanted to do a little bit on Monday and then come back and add on Tuesday, you could do that.
No, so I was just asking because this would be a very good template to put into your Claude if you already have that. And it basically breaks down the skeleton. Then you've got a good skeleton MD, you put it in your Claude design, and then from there on, you can basically integrate it. So to create more and more content like that without using the additional credits. So when you do use your 5 credits, then it's worth it because you're basically getting a template out. Or, well, we got the 100 from you guys, so happiness. But I was just asking for interesting sake.
Love
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I love it. Genius.
Great idea. Hey, Nadia.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
Yeah, thank you so much for the session. I've been joining the generalist session yesterday and today, so that's been great. My question for Sam is if I want to create a feature for an app that already exists in the public, for example, Instacart, right? So how do we integrate with apps that we don't own, we never created, we don't have, developer capabilities. How do we kind of work with that?
Wow, that is a big question, and I do not know. I think that's really cool though, and I bet there's something, I know some companies have um like tools where you can integrate with what they've already built or take something they've built and kind of build on it, like plugins for Zoom or plugins for Google Meet or something like that. I don't know if Instacart has something like that, but I mean that'd be something really cool to explore, is if you had like an add-on to Instacart.
Yeah. Okay.
Where is Faizan in the chat? I bet Faizan knows answers to. Faizan's one of our members who knows the answer to like everything. Faizan, if you hear this, do you know the answer? And we'll have one last question up on stage. Hello, Arcangelo. Please tell me how to pronounce your name.
Hey there, hi. It's Arcangelo, by the way, buddy. Arc,
Arcangelo.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you guys, by the way, for hosting up this, setting up this beautiful week of interactive experiences and coming across everyone. My question actually is related to Lovable. So, is it possible for, like, let's say, for example, I have a website that's built on another platform, using different components, let's say Framer or Wix, and I were to develop a Lovable application. Is it possible for me to like embed that Lovable application into a third-party website, or does it need to live in its own, you know, page or domain?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I hadn't done that before, but I do know the code that it creates for you is yours. You can put it into like GitHub, or so I'm assuming then you could then take it and I don't know how to do that, but I'm pretty sure there's got to be a way to like add it to an existing domain or embed it or something. So maybe someone in the chat who's done that before or would know how that works could add that in. But yeah, I'm sure it's possible.
And you can always ask Claude. That's my answer. Claude is the teacher.
Sure.
So if you're unsure, Claude is the most patient teacher, and you can say, hey, can you explain that like I'm 10, like I'm 8, like I'm 5, Claude? I still don't get it. So we are at time, people. This has been so much fun. And Sam, you knocked it out of the park for our final session. So huge round of applause for Sam.